I don't know what I'm saying anymore, so getting dust in my eye. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole, and today I am coming to you with what I would probably say is one of the best Christmas gifts I have ever received. I was exchanging some books at my used bookstore, and I saw a fabulous book collection on sale there. And I resisted. I didn't even look at it like up close, let alone buy it. But I did go home and tell my husband about it, and he just kind of seemed like, huh, whatever. And so I thought, okay, maybe he's trying to help me stick to my ban, or maybe he already got me something for Christmas. Long story short, he surprised me with it for Christmas. First, he really dragged it out. Like, he made it seem like, oh, that's so sad. Somebody else bought it out from under you. Because when I went to the store, it wasn't there. And then for Christmas, he gave me a copy of the book, but it was just one, and the collection was like a set of books. So I was like, "Oh, they must have had like one extra in the collection or something like that." And how sweet that he went and he got it for me. And I was like, "Oh, and you pretended like you couldn't get any of them and da 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 da." And then he gave me like my Christmas card that basically said, "And wait, there's more." And then he came upstairs with the entire boxed collection of them, and like boxes of them, because there were a lot of them, and we're going to get through them today. I'm going to be sharing with you today a collection of books. Here's what they look like, and I'll show you the inside and out, and then I'm going to like quickly go through all the books that I received. But these are a collection of Edward Bulwer-Lytton's novels and romances. And this is what the binding looks like. Let's see if I can get it to focus on the binding and not me. There you go. And look how pretty these are. They've got this really intricate cover. It's a hardback edition. The end papers look the same. And then one of my favorite things on the inside is that they do have illustrations. Oh, look at the one that I just happened to pull. How great is that? And then they also have tissue type paper, like sketch paper, to protect the pictures so that the print doesn't come off on it. And I'm just in love. Edward George Earl Lytton Bulwer-Lytton, yep, that was his actual full name, was born May 25th, 1803, and died January 18th, 1873. He was a novelist, a playwright, and politician. The guy was busy. That's all I know. But you may have heard some of the phrases that he used in his books, such as the pursuit of the almighty dollar, the pen is mightier than the sword, and the much cliche, but not at the time that he wrote it, it was a dark and stormy night. So if any of those phrases sound familiar to you and you want to know more about the author who wrote them, follow along. A lot of them you won't find on Storygraph or on Goodreads, and they're actually pretty hard to come by in like a physical version. The good news is that thanks to Project Gutenberg and other places like that, you can very easily find digital versions, whether sometimes audiobooks or certainly ebooks of a lot of the manuscripts of these novels. Okay, so let's jump into it. I am basically going to go through all the books in this collection, but to keep it brief, I'm simply going to tell you the title of the book and a very short description of what it's about. It would be pretty boring for me to hold up a book each and every time. So I'm going to try and put up some sort of graphic here that is related to the book. So let's get to the story. So rather than going through publication order, which may have made more sense, I'm just going through them in alphabetical order by title because that is how they are organized on my bookshelf. The first book is Alice or the Mysteries, and this book is part of Edward Bulwer-Lytton's, I guess, esoteric writings. He had quite a few writings that were on like religion and the mysteries of religion, and this particular book emphasizes one of the principles that he liked to talk about, which is the principle of vibration. I have no idea what that means. I really want to read this book and find out. Next, we have the Caxtons, which is, as far as I can understand, a basic family drama, and it follows various members of the Caxton family as they pursue their dreams and their life goals. We have Devereux, and yes, that is an English pronunciation of that word, which is one of Edward Bulwer-Lytton's historical novels, and this takes place during the reign of Queen Anne, and it follows the secret plot of a group of Jacobites to try and put the pretender James Stuart on the throne. The Disowned is a family drama that is full of secrets and betrayals, and it follows the lives of two different people in the book who are both disinherited or disowned. Ernest Maltravers follows the life of a young man as he becomes a novelist, poet, and politician. Sounds kind of like our author. So I wonder if the book is somewhat autobiographical. Eugene Aram is a book about a reclusive scholar who has a potentially incriminating secret. Godolphin is the story of the life and loves of an idealistic man. Harold, or the last Saxon king, is the story of, you guessed it, the last Saxon king as he tries to keep his kingdom from being taken over by Danish conquerors. Kenelm Chillingly is the son of an old English family. He's always been seen as the odd one out in his family, and so his parents decide that the best thing for him is to have him do a tour of the continent, and that hopefully he'll return normal. So we'll see how well that works out, because I'm highly skeptical. Lucretia, or Children of Light, follows the story of Lucretia and her very close childhood friend as they travel the continent, but it'll be interesting to see whether or not they come back as friends. The Last Days of Pompeii is a historical novel that takes place during the eruption of Vesuvius and follows two virtuous Greeks as they try to escape Pompeii and find their way to a better life. They also then proceed to have their own conversion story despite the decadence of the surrounding Roman lifestyle. Leila, or The Siege of Granada, tells both the story of a young woman named Leila as well as the story of a nation. My novel, which is actually the name of one of the books, is about love and betrayal, class, and society. Penhelm was one of Edward Bulwer-Lytton's most popular novels as it explored the concept of dandyism that existed at the time. Dandyism or a dandy, was basically a guy whose focus was on his appearance, his grooming, his refined language, and his leisure hobbies. I would say we still have dandies today. One of the things that made this book so popular was that people spent a lot of time trying to figure out which of the characters in the book related to popular public figures at the time. Paul Clifford is about a gentleman named Paul Clifford who struggles between his desire to be part of society as a gentleman versus his passion to be a criminal. Paul Clifford is the book that, like I mentioned, begins with "It was a dark and stormy night," though that is just the first part of a very long sentence. Pilgrims of the Rhine, etc. was a book that Edward dedicated to his brother, and the book is about two friends traveling together, and he wrote it while he was traveling around with his brother. So I do think that it was partially inspired by their own trips. Edward himself mentions that this novel was more popular in, quote, foreign countries, end quote, than it was at home. The Parisians is a book about a group of Parisians. Sometimes the titles aren't super original, but it discusses their struggles as they try to navigate the changing political environment and society in Paris, France during the 19th century. Rienzi, the last of the Roman tribunes, is, as the name implies, a historical novel about the last of the Roman tribunes. It follows the life of a Roman commoner as he rises to power based on his populist and nationalistic ideas. A Strange Story follows the experience of a man of science as he has encounters with the supernatural. What Will He Do With It follows the life and struggles of Austin Wentworth as he tries to make the difficult decision as to whether he should follow his passion for literature or give in to the duties of the family business. I think a lot of us could relate. And Zanoni is another esoteric novel that Edward Bulwer-Lytton wrote, and this is, again, about the mysteries of faith. It's set during the French Revolution, and Edward Bulwer-Lytton wrote it to address the materialism of the times. That is the full set of books that are in this collection. Some of the books are in multiple volumes, like my novel, for example, I think it's 3 or 4 volumes. But I should mention that this is not all that Edward Bulwer-Lytton wrote. He wrote quite a few books, and you can see from quite a few range of genres. Hope you enjoyed this really quick description of each of these books. I look forward to reading them in the future. Let me know if you've read any of these works of Edward Bulwer-Lytton's, or if you've even heard of him before. Let me know if there's other works of his that you've read that I haven't mentioned here, and I will talk to you later. Bye!